So, for you ladies that want to, which by the way, I don't advise doing this in the first place. For you ladies that are attempting to get away with paternity fraud, which paternity fraud is faking a pregnancy in an attempt to extort a financial restitution out of court to try to avoid the burden of proof, which is a, paternity test, to prove paternity. All right? If you are going to try to con somebody by attempting to set up a whole maybe baby paternity test, that whole thing, yeah, if you're going to go do that, make sure that, the picture that you're showing to try to establish as, cause that you shouldn't have to give back any money defrauded by making the person think that they were legally obligated to pay child support, having to reimburse them, because of you obtaining property under false pretenses. Yeah. Make sure that when you Google an ultrasound picture, that it's not the first picture Googled up. That it's not top of the search results to go ahead and, be able to be that obvious, And for anybody that ends up going ahead and using the picture of a friend's ultrasound, since it's the picture that's not on Google and everything, I would suggest you on that. You let that friend know, especially because, the point that you're trying to make, pregnancy hormones and all that. You're going to want to make sure that they know what's going on. You're going to have to also go ahead and clarify to them that if what you're trying to do doesn't work, and you used their ultrasound picture, that ultimately you're putting them in legal liability, and you're putting them in a position that they won't be able to be there to raise their child, because you wanted to defraud somebody and, try to claim that their child that you're not even carrying was somebody else's, that you wanted to scare into thinking that you baby trapped them, and now they're legally liable for another person for 18 years, while not wanting to go through the court process, because understand, the court process, yeah, that saves people, understand, you may not think it's right or ethical for the court to order somebody having to do a paternity test. And by the way, if you try to shame the person being like, oh, they refuse to pay child support until getting a paternity test and everything, if the courts have legally mandated that a paternity test is to be established in order to establish a claim for child support, that, ultimately, the person that got ordered to go ahead and do the paternity test, yeah, you do realize that they can't ignore that legal order, right? The courts have ways of making sure that you cannot avoid that legal order. They can go ahead and be like, all right, well, Department of Health and Human Services has the child support claim, so now the person that's potentially trying to dodge child support payments, doesn't want to establish paternity with a paternity test, guessing something will pop up, or they're worried about something from their past creeping up to, surprise them. So, yeah, let's go ahead and order them on a psychiatric hold, and they're not legally allowed to leave that psychiatric hold until all established mandatory paternity screenings are done, and all testing in order to be able to establish not only the claim of paternity, but also to establish, the foundation of the accusations of pointing at somebody and saying, you owe me child support. They can't avoid that. So, yeah, understand once you end up getting to the point that you're trying to pretty much shut up the court of public opinion because you want to make it seem like a betrayal of trust for the other person to have, established peace of mind. Yeah, that's a fucking problem. That's like going ahead and saying, I'm going to force you to buy a home. All right? Like, you have no option. You have to purchase this home. You are legally and not allowed to do anything else with your money but purchase this home. Not even a home that you chose. You have to purchase this home that was chosen for you. You don't get a say on where you live. All right? And ultimately, you have to pay whatever the asking price, whatever price is being asked to you. And you don't get to argue it. You don't get to claim you don't have the money. You don't get to claim you can't afford it. You don't get to claim that, ultimately the responsibility of paying for a purchase like this should be shared with both parties. No. You have to fit the entirety of that bill for that home that somebody else has chosen to purchase that home. You are not allowed to debate the price. And ultimately, you have to, and I repeat, have to understand that just because you purchased it does not guarantee that you get to live in it, all right? You getting to live in it is completely established by the whim of the person who wanted to force you to have to make such a, unconscionable purchase to begin with. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely sounds like, my well-being is, being kept in mind and being put in the hands of somebody that's, totally has no ulterior motives, no reasoning whatsoever of, trying to act like their word is law. There is no angle. Like, they do not have any reason whatsoever for going ahead and trying to push and force as much as they have. No, I mean, they're just keeping my best interest in mind. Everything that they're trying to force me to do that screws me over is all with my best interest in mind, because God-loving, God-fearing, patriotic American. Yeah, that's not how that works.